Students, this is one of the important chapter for you to understand because in this chapter you will understand what is constitution. So, to understand what is constitution, let us begin with the introductory paragraph of your textbook which says that to play a game we need to follow so many rules and regulations, and if such rules and regulations are not there, then we won't be able to enjoy game in a right way, right? Many a times you might be playing games with your friends and everyone, and you might have noticed that before starting the game you decide some rules and regulations. Why these rules and regulations are necessary? Because if there is no rule and regulation in a game, then we won't enjoy playing the game in a fair way, right? Cheating may arise and we don't enjoy the game. Okay, so rules and regulations are very necessary. Okay, then if there is rules and regulations, then it becomes very interesting for us to play the game. Okay, similarly you can imagine that if a game requires so many rules and regulations to be followed, then how many rules and regulations will be required for a country to run safely, right? So it is a very important question that if a small game needs so many rules and regulations, then a country like India, right, in which there are lakhs and lakhs of people, crores of people, then to manage that country effectively, that means to run that country smoothly, how many rules and regulations are necessary, right? So, in order to run our country safely and properly, a systematic compilation of set of rules to run the government of a country is formed, which is known as constitution of our country. Okay, again I'll say that is a systematic compilation. Compilation means what? Right? So compilation means to gather the information together, right? From different sources we gather the information and we put that information at one place, that is known as compilation. So a systematic compilation of set of rules, that means in our constitution there are different set of rules which are framed, right, from different point of view or different perspectives, and which are written at a single place to run our country smoothly, which is known as our constitution. Okay, so constitution can be in a written or oral form, right? Here you can see that is the constitution can be in the written or unwritten form or oral form, right? So from this I can say that our India's constitution is the largest or the longest written constitution in the whole world, right? So this thing is very important to learn, that our India's constitution is the largest or the longest constitution, and even it is the written constitution. Okay, it is the written constitution and which is in the largest or the longest form in the whole world. Okay, then immediately a question arises to us that why do we need a constitution, or what if there was no constitution, right? So the answer to this is that no country can function without a constitution. How? You can imagine that if you are going outside your house, if you are going somewhere and someone comes to you and points a gun at you, he loots away, right? He does robbery or loots away to you, then what will happen? If there are no rules and regulations, you won't be able to do anything. Then we'll take another example. If there is a fight taking place between two different person or a people or a group of people, and in the fight they kill each other, no rules and regulations are there, then what will happen? Every time whenever there is a fight or every time we don't like anyone, will kill that person and will not be worried about what will happen to us because there are no rules and regulations, right? So for a country to run effectively, it is very very important that there should be some systematic set of rules and regulations which is compulsory for all the people to follow, and so that the country can run effectively. So in our country, such systematic set of rules and regulations to run the government is known as constitution. Okay, is it clear everyone? Fine. So we can say that constitution is a document which finally views the ethos and ideals of a country. Ethos means what? So, constitution is a document which states, it shows us, that is, the ethos means the spirit or a spirit of a culture of a community and its attitude, right? And ideals. Ideals means what? So, ideals means the standard or the principles which are aimed, right? So we can say that our constitution, that is the constitution of India, shows us the characteristic spirit of our culture, right? In our constitution, our culture is represented, right? What is the standard of our country, what are the principles of our country, all these things are mentioned in our constitution. Okay, now the constitution tells us about the kind of government our country would have, right now I'm discussing about constitution, that what are the features of constitution, or how or in what way the constitution is helpful or useful to us, or what kind of information does a constitution provide to us, right? So as I said, that the constitution tells us about the kind of government we would have, right? So if we will know that what kind of government we will have, then and then only we can come to know that how our country will be run by such government. Okay, so as I said, our constitution tells us about what kind of government our country would have, how to run the administration of our country, right? So the question or the answer to all these questions will be provided in our constitution. Okay, so all these things are mentioned in our constitution, and if we have a look at our constitution, then it begins with a preamble. So this is the most important part, right? Here you can see the preamble of our constitution, right? So our constitution begins with the preamble. So what is preamble, right? So preamble of the constitution is the brief introductory statement, right? It is a very short statement that sets out guidelines. That means it gives us guidance, right? It sets out guidelines, principles and philosophy of the constitution. That means it tries to tell us that what does our constitution consist of, what are the guidelines in the constitution, what are the principles which are written in the constitution, and on what philosophy the constitution is written. All the things whatever I have told is written in the preamble. Okay, that is the preamble of the constitution. That means the preamble of our constitution gives us an idea about what are the objectives of our constitution, when did our constitution implement, or the date of adoption of the constitution, then what are the different states or the nature of our Indian states, right? So all these things are mentioned in the preamble of our constitution. Now we will discuss our preamble line by line. So as you can see, it starts with, we the people of India have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status, and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So this is what is written in our constitution. So we'll understand it one by one, right? So here solemnly, in the second line, first word you can see solemnly. Solemnly means what? So solemnly means with deep sincerity, right? Solemnly resolved. Resolved means what? So resolved means to firmly determine, right? If we are determined to do something very firmly, that means resolved. So we the people of India have solemnly resolved, that means we have sincerely decided, or we are determined to constitute India into a sovereign. So here sovereign means what? Sovereign means that it has powers. That is, we are talking about India, right? India has powers to make or enact any laws on any subject. That means the Indian government can make any laws, or it can implement any laws on any subject, right? So we can say that India is a sovereign state, which means that it is an independent authority and it is not dependent on any other external power. So that is the meaning of sovereign. In simple words, if we say sovereign means it has the power to do whatever it wants to without the control of anyone. Then comes the word socialist. Socialist means social and economic equality, right? So here social equality means absence of discrimination. Discrimination means bhedbhav, right? So without any discrimination on the grounds of caste, color, creed. Creed means it means a system of religious belief or of faith, right? So socialist means equality without any discrimination on the grounds, or without any discrimination on the grounds of color, caste, creed, religion, language, etc., right? Then comes the word secular. Secular means not connected with any religious or spiritual matter, right? Secular means what? That means our government is not connected or is not under the influence of any religious or spiritual group. Okay, then it is the word democratic. Democratic means for the people, of the people, and by the people. Okay, so our country is a democratic country. Then comes the word republic. Republic means a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representative, and which has an elected president rather than a monarch. Monarch means a king. Single person who is handling the whole kingdom is known as monarch. So, republic. So, India is a republic state also. We can say like that. Why? Because it is a state in which the powers, that is, the power is held by the people. The people are, or the public is the supreme. They have all the powers, right? They are the ones who run our country. They, through the election process, elect their representatives and they run our country. So, as we have discussed the difficult words, that is like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, etc., right? So we'll again read out the paragraph. We the people of India have solemnly resolved, that means we have decided to constitute India, that means we'll form our India into a social, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens. That means to provide our citizens with justice. Justice in which way? That is social. That means in the society, whether you belong to a different religion, caste, color, creed. Economic, that means related to money, and political. Okay, so justice in all the way. Then liberty. Liberty means what? Liberty means freedom. So freedom of thought, freedom of expression, belief, faith, and worship. So we should have freedom, that is liberty in all the fields. Okay. Then it is equality of status and of opportunity. That means all the people, all the citizen of the India should have equality. That means whether he is a rich or a poor, or whether he is a VVIP person or any other person, his status in the country is equal, right? We cannot discriminate that person on the basis of his status, and each and every person of our country should be provided with equal opportunity, right? And to promote among them all fraternity, right? So fraternity means what? So fraternity means friendship and mutual support within a group. Okay, so to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity, again dignity means respect, of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So again, integrity means undivided, or we can say unity. Okay, integrity means unity also. So that's it, what is mentioned in our preamble. Then further it is stated in our Constituent Assembly. Now what is Constituent Assembly? So Constituent Assembly is a body, right? It is a body that is which is formed with the help of a group of people who are elected representatives, right? And they are gathered, okay, or they are assembled together in a body or in a group for the purpose of drafting a constitution or making any changes in the constitution. Okay, so that group of people is known as Constituent Assembly. Okay, so in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November, that is 26th November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this constitution. So when was our constitution adopted or implemented? That is 26th day of November 1949, right? And this is the date when it was adopted, that is when it was formed. So there is another date which is very important for us to know, that is 26th January 1950. This date is very important because on this day our constitution was actually implemented, right? 26th day of November 1949 is the date when our country adopted or formed or framed the constitution, and 26th January 1950 is the day or date when our constitution was implemented. And that is the reason, means implemented means it came into force, right? It actually started in the working condition, means it was enforced. Okay, and that is the main reason why we say why we celebrate our Republic Day on 26th January, right? Because it is the biggest day for our country, because our constitution was implemented. And as I have discussed earlier, that a constitution is a set of rules and regulations, right? So it is a very important day for us, because on that particular day, that is 26th January 1950, our constitution was implemented, and we all were the happiest people, because we can imagine that if our country does not have the constitution, then it would become impossible for us to live our life with safety. Okay, so here we end with the explanation of preamble of constitution, right? Then it is given that how was the Constitution of India formed. Okay, so the Constitution of India is the statement of national goals and aims such as democracy, socialism, secularism, national unity, etc. All these things we have already discussed. The Constituent Assembly was established. It started working from the 9th December 1946. So this is the date when our Indians, they formed a Constituent Assembly. Why it was formed? As I've already discussed, that it is formed, or it was formed for the formation of the Constitution. The Constituent Assembly was formed of prominent and distinguished scholars and leaders. So here prominent means what? Right, prominent means important or famous people. Okay, distinguished means what? So distinguished means again very successful people who have achieved something great in their life and who deserves a great respect. So such people are known as distinguished people. Okay, so prominent and distinguished scholars and leaders. So here scholars means people having extraordinary knowledge, right? So our Constituent Assembly was formed with the help of such distinguished scholars and leaders. Their political vision and foresight, so their political vision, that means today we are living with peace and security, is just because of these people, because these people were those who had thought about our future and who had framed all the laws and rules and regulations of our country. Okay, leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Patel, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Shyam Prasad Mukherjee, Sardar Baldev Singh, etc., provided their guidance. So, these all are the important people who have given their important contribution in the formation of our constitution. Frank Anthony represented the Anglo-Indian community. Now, Anglo-Indian community means what? So, it is a group of people who are a mixture of Indian and British or English descent, right? As we all know that the Britishers, they had come to India and they had ruled for almost 200 years, right? So, after the British left, even there were still many people in our country. For example, I'll tell, when the Britishers who lived over here, they married some Indian people, right? So the mixture of both the Indians and the English people, right? So those who were born or living in India, they have formed an Anglo-Indian community, right? So this is the group of people who have formed the Anglo-Indian community. So here it is given that Frank Anthony represented the Anglo-Indian community and H.P. Modi represented the Parsi community. The committee had various constitution scholars like Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, K.M. Munshi, etc. So these are the scholars, right, who have helped us to form our constitution. There were female members like Sarojini Naidu and Vijayalakshmi Pandit. Okay, so these are the females, okay, who have even contributed their knowledge in forming our constitution. Then Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly. So as I have told, that Constituent Assembly was a body, or a body which is formed with a group of people to form the constitution. So for that assembly, that is Constituent Assembly, its head was Dr. Rajendra Prasad, right? So he was made the president of the Constituent Assembly. There were a number of subcommittees to take care of various aspects of constitution. As we know that in law, if you have heard about law, right, in law also there are different fields. So we know that there are many different kind of laws, right, in our country. Laws like domestic laws, international laws, laws for the common people, laws for the criminals, right? So these are the different fields in which, and there are still many different laws, right? Laws for the business, commerce, and many other laws. So all these different laws, when it is framed or formed, they need experts in those particular field. So as it is told that there were subcommittees to take care of various aspects of the constitution. That means for each and every aspect of the constitution, right, for framing different laws, different committees were formed. The drafting committee, which was headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, gave to the constitution its final shape. That means when the constitution is framed, first of all it is prepared, all the guidelines and everything is prepared, right? Taking the expert opinion of all the people, and finally when everything is formed, right, finally the constitution is needed to be drafted. That means it is needed to be finalized. So for finalizing what is to be kept in the constitution and what is not to be kept, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was made the head for that. Okay. Further, total 166 meetings were held by the Constituent Assembly in a time period of 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. So, such a long period, right? That is a period of 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. That is almost 3 years, right? It took for our leaders to frame our constitution. On 26th November 1949, the committee passed the constitution. That means the constitution was finalized, which was enforced on 26th January 1950. Enforced means it was implemented on 26th January. As I told, that our constitution was implemented, and therefore it was a very big achievement and a great day for us. Therefore we celebrate it in the form of Republic Day. Okay.